So today I'm going to talk about redaction in general and how to do redaction in Modeler version 12. So what is redaction? It's removing or obscuring sensitive information in a document. So why do you want to remove information from documents? Well, various reasons. Here's a few. You can pause this and look through the list at your leisure, but you can see there's an awful lot of privacy laws and regulations. There's also compliance with industry standards and related regulations. Some of the ones you're probably familiar with, especially in the US, HIPAA, PCI. And compliance with internal policy as part of risk mitigation, compliance strategy, internal information dissemination policy, and external requirements. So let's go through some key terms and concepts. PII, which is personally identifiable information. Now, this is the information that usually comes up in privacy law. It's identifying individuals. So typical data items that come into question are address, national identity numbers like social security number in the UK, national insurance number, and NHS number, that's the health service, IP address, vehicle registration numbers, driver's license numbers, credit card numbers, date of birth, birthplace, telephone number, and even zip code in California and Massachusetts state law. So these are data items that you might need to be careful of when distributing information. So here's a couple of definitions. This is a good one from the US Office of Management and Budget. Information which can be used to distinguish or trace an individual's identity, such as name, social security number, biometric records alone, or when combined with other personal identifying information which is linked or linkable to a specific individual, such as date of place of birth, maiden name, etc. So I'm going to just click through a few of these. So what is redaction useful for in modeling? Really what we're looking at is safe distribution or viewing of anonymized documents. Also allowing downstream analysis of anonymized information with modeler and modeler-derived technology. And also it helps us allow our existing customers to more easily send us reports for support and development issues, because our customers also they're looking at documents, they're processing those documents with modeler, and if they need some help in working on those, then redacting those and sending them to us makes it very easy for us to help them, whereas currently it can be quite difficult. Safe distribution and viewing. So this is providing information to external agencies, business partners and customers. Here's a few examples. Provide anonymized medical information for trials by universities and other external agencies. Facilitate outsourced processing. Enable a wider pool of internal employees to access and process data, and allow business partners and customers to access and process data. Now, downstream anonymized analysis. One of the difficulties that occurs when you redact data is you take all the information out that you might need to analyze that and aggregate it. For example, if you take a social security number and then you just turn that into a bunch of X's, there's no way you can then analyze that over an aggregate and just, because you've lost the key data that identifies other data items that belong to, if you like, a key item. So what we need to do is analyze safely without PII. So we want to be able to replace the same values with the same token to enable roll-ups, just remove enough PII to analyze the data, and also create different cuts to ensure that no combinatorial PII exists. And by that, what I mean that in some cases zip code alone may be acceptable, and that would allow geo-based analysis if you remove everything else. And again, remove everything apart from age, for age-based analysis. So, how does redaction work in Modeler? So, in Modeler, you define fields as usual and specify redaction behavior on a field-by-field basis for each report. And then you can export a redacted report as text, export a redacted report as PDF, or using the redaction functions in calculated fields for any input format. That could be databases or Excel, Access, that kind of thing, and also any output format or the current output formats that we support. So what does it look like in Modeler? So you have the original input, and then you can replace fields, and in this case we're replacing it with a consistent text alias and a consistent digit alias and an X out. So what do I mean by when I say a consistent alias? In Modeler there are 4 methods of redaction. Removal, which is replacing data with blanks. Removal, replacing it with X. Non-reversible pseudonymization. And consistent alias replacement pseudonymization. Well, that's not a word I'm managing to do very well today. So consistent alias replacement, that replaces values with a corresponding pseudonymized value. For example, Betty's Music Store becomes, and I won't read that out, throughout. And this value is practically impossible to reverse as it's close to a one-time pad. So these values change every session in Modeler, and then you can save this map of session values by exporting it if you ever need the original values, and I'll explain why later. So they allow sensible aggregated analysis. So if you want to aggregate anonymous data, keys throughout the document have to be consistent. CARs allow rehydration of the original data when necessary. For example, when you share medical data, one version of a document with patient information might be provided to a research trial. If it's discovered that a participant has an undiscovered curable condition, the data owner can find out who it is by consulting the redaction map. So what are the other redaction features? Pseudo SSNs. This replaces a real social security number with a random set of digits adjusted so the SSN cannot be a real SSN and therefore accidentally map to a different individual. Bank card numbers, the same, random set of digits adjusted so they cannot be a valid bank card number. Pseudo NHS numbers, that's the UK Health Service, replaces a real NHS number with a random set of digits adjusted so it cannot be a valid NHS number. So now I'm going to do a very quick demo to illustrate some of these features. So we'll start with a patient record. Now, for the avoidance of doubt, this is not real data. This is fake data, so we're not looking at anyone's real lab results. So this is a typical set of lab results that we might want to provide to another organization, but without any personally identifiable information. So what we'll do is we've opened this with Modeler and we've defined some fields that we want to extract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the redaction feature, and then we'll work back from that. So I'm going to enable redaction. And now what I can see is the fields that I'm redacting have now been changed. So let's go and take a look in the table of the data that we've extracted. And so the patient name, that's been changed. A very strange value there, which we'll take a look at. So we can then export this out obviously to any other type of data source in tabular format. But we're just going to go through and review what we've got here. So we've got patient name, and what we're doing is we're redacting that with a consistent alias text. And we've got a patient account number, consistent alias digits, and various other things that we're redacting. So let's take a look at the report again. So we can see in this case we're taking out the name, date of birth. We're going to leave the age in. We're going to get rid of the height and weight, and we're going to change these numbers here. We're going to use consistent digit aliases. And then all this information is going to come through properly. So we're going to export this data out. So I've got a few exports here that I've created. This is exporting the PDF. This is exporting the alias map for the text and the digits. And this is just a straight Excel export. So I'm going to add all those, and I'm going to run the exports. So I'm going to take a look at the redacted lab results. And I've put a password on this PDF as well. And then what we can see is we've got the patient record, all the redacted data in there. And let's say we distribute that to a university, and they, through their clinical trials, discover that these type of test results could be a particular type of condition. So then we could get back to the maps that we've created. I'm just going to open that, and then we can see we've got the patient name here and the alias that's been created. So we can match that data in the report that the university provide back to us, and then make sure that we can go and follow up with that patient. In terms of the Excel, again, it's just straightforward. All the redacted data goes into Excel. So that was it for the Modeler 12 redaction. Thanks very much, Pat, for arranging this, and I hope you found this very useful.